But we're going to start with some news today involving Perrion Winfrey. The Browns didn't waste much time in releasing him after a report came out that he is an aggravated robbery suspect. A woman accused him of threatening her with a gun and assault. There was a disturbing social media video that was going around where you can hear Perrion's voice in the background, details of from the police report. Obviously not great. So Perrion Winfrey, no longer a member of the Cleveland Browns. This is actually his second off-field run-in with the law this offseason, Mary Kay, going back to an incident in Houston where he was accused of assault of a family member. It was actually a woman he was dating at the time. And that case was eventually dismissed after he completed the program he needed to complete there. But I guess my first question is, and I thought this back in, what was it, April, May, when the incident happened in Houston. Why was Perrion Winfrey still a member of the Browns? Why did they kind of stick with him after all of that?
I'm going to be writing a little bit more about this today after we're done podcasting and put up a take on this. But, the Browns have established themselves under Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski as a team that is willing to give players with troubled pasts a chance. I mean, the biggest example of that, of course, is Deshaun Watson. But there have been others, certainly. And I think that, one of the things that this team does is they give guys a chance to rehabilitate themselves, to kind of get themselves back together and become productive citizens as well as good football players. So I think the Browns really wanted to try to give Perrion Winfrey a chance to prove that he could mature, that he could grow up, that he could be the young man and the football player that they believed he could be. The things that you can hear him saying on the video and, the things that the victim states that, he said and did, regardless of how the incident was sparked, are unacceptable if they actually happened that way. And it was time. It was absolutely time to part ways with him. Now he's got to go get the help that he obviously needs and get himself together.
Right. And, I think when it comes to the Browns giving guys, a chance to rehabilitate their image, which obviously it wasn't all this regime, right? But like Kareem Hunt is probably the most notable example of somebody who came in, had dealt with a legal issue because of that incident in Cleveland with a woman. And he was able to, number one, didn't have any other incidents like this pop up, but he continued to produce on the field. And I think those two things in the NFL are always going to kind of be meshed together. Yes, he was a draft pick and a guy they thought had potential, but when you have all of these off the field issues come up, and when it graduates to not just disciplinary issues inside the building, but legal issues outside of the building in the offseason, coupled with a player who is not then producing on the field and is becoming a distraction for others, for himself, for the team. And again, I think, too, this is a team that last year had a PR storm swirling around it because of everything that Deshaun Watson had in terms of the sexual misconduct allegations. You can't really afford to have something else fester that's even remotely in the same category. And these two situations are very similar, but to have another player with legal issues pop up right now, and when he just got himself out of a legal situation because he completed that pretrial diversion program, to then have this pop up, you can understand why this sort of probably became the straw that broke the camel's back for them.
Well, and my first thought too, when I saw that and, just the video and the incident report was, when you go back to the incident in Houston and you look at the protection order, there were some bad details in there about, they weren't part of the charges, but they were part of the protection order against Perrion. And there were some disturbing things in there kind of along those lines of him just crossing a line physically. So again, it just kind of comes back to the Browns probably should have just done this back then. And they put themselves in this position where they didn't do it. They, it kind of flew under the radar a little bit once minicamp opened and OTAs opened. And then, here we are on the start of training camp. And now he's involved in another incident. And that this is this has to be a little embarrassing for the organization. And I know in light of all the Deshaun Watson, whatever, like, just separate all that stuff. This has to be an embarrassing moment for the organization right before training camp opens. And this is probably just something they should have done back in April and didn't do.